And way off in the future, starting to create that tension that you have is, I got to start getting ready for this Ironman. And it is the period of training where opportunity to get outside often improves. At the same time, quite often you want to spend time exploring on vacations and not have all of your summer sabotaged by your commitment to Ironman. Can you truly have two things at once? Well, it turns out that you can. So we're going to go through how you should nail your summer training if you really want to excel in an Ironman. We're going to go through 7 core components. And the first one of them, I think, is really foundational, but critically important. In fact, it might be the most important concept for you to lock in to have a successful summer build. We're going to label this flexible optimization. This is all about mindset, your perspective as you approach your training. It is a fundamental purple patch principle, and it is born from years and years and years of successfully working with time-starved athletes who are chasing big goals. This started with my work, working with C-suite executives with massive competing demands that were looking to improve their bike or train for an Ironman or get ready for a marathon. And it has continued to evolve over time, but it's a critical component. Flexible optimization. Let's think about the classic summer. It's actually pretty chaotic. I just did some planning with Kelly, and I looked at our lazy summer that we chose to have this year and realized it's incredibly busy. There's a lot of stuff going on. And the truth is, while we've got summer plans all scheduled with vacations and everything else that happens, work doesn't pause. Travel carries on happening. In addition to that, if you have kids, they're off school. Our routines shift. That creates a change in our life, and we understand that change, even when positive, is really challenging. It's difficult. It creates a little bit of turbulence. And so we have to realize that we're approaching this period where it's not the same as the rest of the other 3 quarters of the year. It is a little bit more turbulent, and while it's really fun and exciting, it does represent challenge. And so what are the common mistakes that occur in summer training? The first thing I'd say, and this is when we're talking really about flexible optimization, the inverse of this, the reverse of this, is the main classic mistake that I see. And that is what we would label rigid expectations. This is the athlete that starts every single week of their training and says, I need to hit X number of hours every week, no matter what. I need to ride 4 hours or more every single weekend. I can only be successful if I check the box on every single workout prescribed, whether I'm planning it, I'm following an online plan, or I'm coached. I need to do everything right. Here is the roadmap. Here is the magic plan. My job is to execute this plan, and what will come out the other end of the meat grinder is success. I promise you, if you deploy this approach to your training in the summer months, you're almost guaranteed to finish your full Ironman feeling burnt out from having one of these things occur. Number 1, an accumulation of too much chronic stress. Because you have failed to hit your I need tos, and you'll be stressed about training, feeling like you're always not doing enough, just falling short. It almost feels like you're continually chasing training. Now, this is a really bad mindset to come into. It's not confidence building, it's an erosion of belief. In addition, you're going to feel burnt out because you're going to realize that you may or may not finish that Ironman. But what you do understand as a truth is that your life has suffered on the journey. Because if you force training through a need to execute standpoint, you're going to be training at the cost of many other important things of life, and doubtless will suffer personal consequences. It's no wonder that burnout is the result. You might get away with it for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but by the end of summer, it's going to hit you. And so instead, flexible optimization is the concept. This is a really powerful tool, and it's important. Fitness is not built through perfect consistency of hours. It is developed through smart, layered, specific training stress over time. So a few things to keep into mind when you deploy this practice over summer. Number one, lean into, accept the variability of summer training. I really invite you to be open-minded. Be pretty flexible when looking at your calendar and planning your training. If you've listened to the recent case study of David, our time-starved athlete that was so successful at Ironman, Max and I broke down how you can build incredible fitness without the traditional stock training plan, in which you need to do something every single day and the program needs to progressing load over weeks. When you've got life that is classic in summer, that is variable, it doesn't make sense to try and apply a spreadsheet-like program of progressive overload to that life. Instead, you want to be opportunistic. You want to develop an optimization mindset of how do I integrate the most effective training that's going to yield the stimulus to drive adaptations given the constructs of my life. And that's going to vary every single week. I remember a case study of a one-to-one athlete program where we made real changes from baseline. And we looked at the athlete and we helped them identify the trips and the travel that they had. And quite often over the course of the summer month, they had multiple times where they were going away, travel for work, travel for family. And he arrived to the consultation looking and planning ahead. And his question was, how do I execute this training into this travel? We said, let's shift it. Let's look at opportunities and let's not battle and fight with the joys of life. And so instead, rather than trying to fix or force a fixed training program into this life, what we did with the athlete is say, let's look at those as opportunities to do mini run blocks. You've got 3 or 4 opportunities over the course of the summer where you're going to have limited access to swimming, limited access to cycling. And so let's in some weeks really double down on that when you're at home and you're stable. And let's let running be a little bit more of a passenger, keeping frequency. And we'll come to that a little bit later on the how-tos. And when you're traveling, let's reduce total training time, but let's build muscle resilience. Let's build run frequency. Let's do some overload. And suddenly the travel became a thing that wasn't competing with his ability to get ready and force training into life. Instead, it was a little running block opportunity. And it really helped free up. He started to see and work with the travel. All he needed to go with was not try and find a swimming pool 10, 15, 20 minutes away, pull himself out of the family vacations, etc. Instead, he just needed a pair of running shoes. You can run anywhere in the world, at least almost anywhere. And so it's a key component of an optimization mindset. Now, this takes some macro planning. Let me really put some meat into the bones on this, and let me give you an example. Imagine over the summer months, and let's just identify the start of June. I know that's not the official start of summer, but let's call the start of June the start of our summer mindset, all the way through to August. Over the course of these months, you are likely going to have some weeks where you're at home in your regular routine. And so you can maintain a pretty regular training schedule in there. Perhaps you've got some travel from work that you're going to integrate. And maybe you've got some opportunities where you're going to go away on family vacation or friends vacation, whatever it might be. Really encourage athletes to look at the macro program and do 2 things. Number 1, plan ahead with those moments where you are going away on vacation or trips. And they're going to have 2 types of personalities. Trips that you're actually got an opportunity to train more, or trips where you really want to invest and unwind and be with family or friends. So those have different personalities. And you build the appropriate training that integrates with the spirit of the holiday. So if it's more a training camp environment, you lead into that training camp. If it's more of a restricted family type time, you lean into that. And then you plan pre and post that, opportunities to do some training blocks. You also look ahead and look over the summer months and look at a few opportunities where you can cluster up and do some big over distance rides. And you leverage those into them. You get all of the constituents in your life and you look at them and you say, okay, third week of June, that's good. Fourth week of July, that's good. The first week of August, that's good. And you use those as opportunities to help you do some over distance type work. Now, this time of the year, you're starting to move to a little bit of race specificity, but a lot of that stuff can be, for example, for an Ironman, some over distance riding, a really core component of training, with always a little bit of the runoff, because we want to train the body for familiarization of getting used to that modality. So more of that on the specifics later, but that's how you do some macro planning. The reason this optimization is really important, the planning is really important, is that we're looking at training not as a classic annual training program. Instead, we just know that over the course of the 16 or 12 to 16 weeks of summer, we're looking to build a through line of consistency. We know that sometimes you're going to be busy and do less training. We know we're going to do more, and we're going to take those opportunities. That looks very, very different than a classic training program that builds up 3 weeks on, 1 week off, layered over the course of time, and ends up competing. So that's the principal driving mindset that we want to think about. The key takeaway is that if you lean into this, it's actually liberating. It's not only going to result in better training, it also is going to give you a little bit of clarity of confidence. Because instead of chasing total training hours, something that I think is a really limited barometer of success of athletes, and worrying if you're doing enough, it's going to enable you to have training work with your summer plans. So it's not about doing more. It's about being better and what works for you. That's the optimization mindset. What this means, just to really cement this in, is that a week of 7 hours of training might be appropriate some weeks. Maybe you're traveling and really busy of work. And it is way better to do 7 really good hours on any given week rather than 12 hours forced into life, competing with life and creating burnout and physiological fatigue. And so have confidence to scale back when life flows. On the flip side, there's massive value if life ebbs for you to take advantage and layer in more training. And maybe if you typically average 10 to 12 hours, you get to do 14, 16, 18 hours a week of training. Fantastic if that fits into life, and that can be really valuable.